Hello everybody, Doug Walker here, and welcome to the Last Airbender vlogs. As you can tell, this is actually shot right after I did the intro, so I have seen the very first episode, The Boy in the Iceberg. And first impressions, I guess, because it's interesting, a lot of people say, well, once you watch it, you're really going to be like, sucked in and you want to see more and more and more. I don't know if this has started off as like a movie where they run some of the episodes together. And the first episode is very good and it's very creative. I will admit it didn't suck me in like something like Lost or Game of Thrones did, but then again, it is a Nickelodeon show, which everyone says like, oh no, this totally changes, you know, like the way Nickelodeon shows looks, and I believe it because it is a very impressive looking show. What did sort of throw me, I don't want to say throw me for a loop, and it's not totally fair to say this, but and maybe it's a good thing and bad thing, is that watching the first episode I had to sort of remind myself, oh yeah, this is for kids. I think there's something about the design and even kind of the pacing and the layout where it sort of fools you into almost thinking like, oh yeah, this is a movie. You know, there's a scene where they're looking inside this, looks like a submarine, and it's very quiet, and they got these great angles, and there's no talking and no music, you just hear the echoes of the ship. And it'll be interesting from here on to see if this is like, see if the rest of the show goes like this. Now, of course, a lot of you probably already know, but as someone just coming in, I was impressed by it, and I think somebody also going in with a lot of hype behind it is probably not the best way to go in, I realize, because automatically you're going to be like, well, that first episode didn't totally pull me in and stuff like that, but again, it's a series and it's an intro. And for, you know, for an intro, it was very interesting, and literally as it begins, it says like, you know, the four nations, the fire nations, the earth nations, the heart nations. I'm sure everybody's made that joke. But they're given this backstory, and at first I'm thinking, oh my god, are kids going to be able to follow this? This is like a lot to take in. And then immediately goes to, you know, the brother and sister who are making jokes, and, you know, they sort of sound, the brother especially is a bit of a wisecracker and stuff. I'm sort of going, oh yeah, that's right, kid show. But again, that's the balance. That's what you got to put up with. I realize, and I like the fact that they sound like kids. The brother not quite so much. Maybe he's a teenager, but these sound like real kids. And I don't know if they're played by adults or not, but they do a good job. And I think what grabbed me the most, or what I found the most interesting, outside the designs and the background, those are looking wonderful, is the animation itself. And the animation is very much, obviously, anime influenced to a point where people can probably confuse it for anime, but you can definitely tell it's American. And there is something about American motion and Japanese motion that is very different, because Japanese motion seems to be, they put all their animation into the action. I mean, like, all of it. And then the rest of it is like, you know, there's a lot of close-ups like this of somebody talking and looking at somebody. You don't see the mouth moving because all the animation went into the action. But what's so clever about it is that they hide it very well by getting very stylized shots and stylized angles. American animation is much more about the motion. So here you have them constantly in motion, though it's interesting because you could probably see where certain arguments came up, particularly in the humor, because like when somebody is shocked by something, usual American animation will do like 3 frames of a person, huh? Like that, where Japanese animation will just have a person here, and the next frame, he's here. So, and you see that happen here a few times, like when eyes open up, it's not like, you know, there's a frame or two of it opening up, it's just open. And that's a stylistic choice. I know that's just part of Japanese animation. So it's an interesting balance. This is probably so far one of the more interesting balances between sort of the Japanese style and the American style that I've seen. Not that I've seen much Nickelodeon anime imitation shows. Okay, for example, I did see a little bit of that show, Teen Titans, and not the newer one, whatever the one that came out like, what, 5-6 years ago, something like that, maybe even older, came out, and that was obviously trying to, you know, mimic anime with all the big over-the-top stuff and the big sweat drop and stuff like that. I can't stand that. I know that's a style, if you like it, great. It drives me insane. This is a nice medium. I like the medium that they have here. Sometimes the comedy's a little awkward. Again, maybe because I'm just not used to that really quick animation. Maybe I'll warm up to it. But so far, it's an interesting intro, and it has a lot of mystery behind it. It gives you the backstory, but at the same time, what exactly is the story behind this Prince guy, and why is the Fire Nation a bunch of a-holes, and why are they looking to take over, and, how is the war going? I like stories where something really big is going on out there, some sort of big battle, and yet the, identifiable characters, the young people, are off somewhere and they want to help and they can't, until something comes along to throw them in there. But it's not quite hammered in as much as, a lot of other shows and movies like to do it. And the fact that it is a show allows so much more time, I don't know, are they gonna go to the North Pole? Is that the next episode? I mean, I like not knowing anything about this show going in. So with that said, I don't know how many of the comments I'm going to read, because I know some people may give it away. And I want you guys to feel free to, comment and talk about it. But the last thing I'll say before I sign off here is about the first episode is I was talking about the designs. I love the animals in this. I've only seen, I think, 2 now. One is a giant flying bison, which just props for creativity, man. That is fucking weird. And the other is, which I find this so strange, they're penguins. They just say they're penguins, but they're clearly not regular penguins. They look like a mix between penguins and otters, and they sled on them, and I like that. I like that they sort of create a world that's similar to ours, but it's also one they can kind of interact in their own way. Even the Avatar boy seems very, instead of getting up using his legs, or whatever, standing up, he can just use his power, the wind power, just to sort of have the wind push him up. I love little touches like that. Or there's a scene where the girl gets really angry and she accidentally bends the water behind her and cracks it, and isn't even aware she does it. Little things like that, those are great touches. I think it makes a world much more believable and livable. And maybe that's one of the big attractions about the show. I don't know, I'll have to see. But it was a good first episode, and of course, finally get to see Mako. I know it's Mako, but everyone's called him Mako, so I'm just going to stick to that because that's the joke now, I guess. Finally see him as the prince's, is that his uncle? I don't know. I'm sure a lot of you are going to chew me out for it. Yeah, boy, something about... Because this was the show everyone, when I first made the Mako joke, everybody said, that's the guy from Avatar, come on. And it is interesting because he sounds so different from... something like when he did Splinter in the Ninja Turtles movie. Something about that, he sounded a little bit more slurred and sort of like half awakened. This one he sounds very dignified and like a warrior that's been through a lot, but still has a good sort of sense of humor too. So I'm even just seeing a few bits of that character, I see what people sort of admired about his performance, because I can already hear it. I'm like, this is probably the most interesting character so far. I just want to know what his story is, and you already feel sort of that conflict of, should he help this prince? Should he sort of, make a compromise with his teachings, or should he, really stick to what he knows is right? But, time is of the essence, and lives are at stake, and it's good stuff. So, I know it's a lot to say just for the first episode, but it's interesting. If I didn't have the hype around it, I don't know if I'd be like, I have to see the next episode. But I do want to see the next episode out of curiosity. I want to know where it goes. I like this kid. I like the sister. He's a little weird. It'll be interesting to see if he gets better. But, yeah, so I look forward to see where it goes. That's episode 1. I'll see you for episode 2.